I've been experimenting with it.
Hey, man, that's where a lot of business deals are
I've
made.
been getting a lot of golf in.
Having an appointed time.
Oh, wait. Jealous.
You're not ready?
Give me just a second. I got
Another minute.
Just kidding.
Let me make sure he's ready. I did it. Having the appointed time of 5:30 arrived, I would like to call the Tuesday, October the 24th, 2023 Committee of the Whole to order. Please stand and join me for the pledging of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Will do. Alderman Redpath.
Still here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford.
Here.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Natriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I would accept a motion for the approval of the October the 10th, 2023 committee meeting.
Go move.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. There are no treasury report tonight, no OBM contract report tonight, so we're going to go straight to presentations, and I'm going to ask the mayor to come up for proclamations, please.
Good evening, aldermen and alderwomen. Do you want me to spin this around?
Watch your step there, Mayor. We don't have any insurance.
True story. Thank you. So we also want to invite up, I'm going to invite up the Sacred Heart Griffin boys golf team real quick if I could please, and their coaches. Come stand up here with your older people from your area here. So before I make the proclamation, I'm going to let all these fine young men tell you who they are and their coaches. But they're here because they won the men's state championship in golf. So. Which would have been the first time ever under the name of Sacred Heart Griffin, right? Yeah, so that's a big deal. So I'm going to let your coach come up and then he'll let your coach say a few words.
Sure. First of all, I'd like to thank City Council, Mayor. It's, I thought I'd get through this real quick, but, these guys been playing golf almost their whole life. Some of them start when they're little, and I just drive the bus and get them to the golf course, help them out a little bit, when they're getting bad. But they really, really took off regionals, sectionals, and at state. And they played together, and, they were telling me all day, the second day at state, it's easy, we got this. We're up by 9, then it gets down to 2, then we're losing, then we're back up by 2 at Alio, we got this, coach. Well, he did, and then so happy for him. We got 4 seniors, so we got to rebuild for next year. Sophomore and a junior. We got the 4 seniors, Augustine Hyde, Cal Johnson, Alio Giacomini, Max Gebhardt, the junior, a lone junior, he's going to be lonely next year, Max Stone, and the sophomore, Zach Watson. So they did a great job. Proud of them.
Tell them who you are.
I'm Coach Mike McDonald, Coach Mac. I've been at SHG. It's my 33rd year, I believe.
Wow.
So getting ready to retire. Yeah. I taught some of these guys' kids and I know almost all of them, so, yeah, I've been here a long time. Started coaching football, Coach Leonard in 90, and then basketball through that, and then got into this and girls track, and I love it. So, we love representing Sacred Heart Griffin and Springfield. So, it's good.
Now I'm going to ask each one of them to come up and state their names so their parents and pause so they can get a photo of you.
Sophomore.
Zachary Watson. Augustin Hyde. Cal Johnson.
Max Stone.
Elio Giacomini.
Max Gebhardt.
And I'm going to read a proclamation for these fine young men. And the proclamation reads, whereas Sacred Heart Griffin High School, a Catholic Dominican college preparatory institution, nurtures academic and athletic excellence and fosters the values of study, prayer, service, and community. And whereas the boys golf team of Sacred Heart Griffin High School has made history by achieving victory in the state championship for the first time for this school, showcasing their dedication, teamwork, and unwavering spirit throughout a remarkable season. And whereas we commend you for your dedication and admirable efforts, as well as the countless hours of practice, sacrifice, and hard work you have invested in representing your school with pride and distinction. Whereas the City of Springfield would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Sacred Heart Griffin boys golf team on your accomplishments, both as individuals and as a team. We look forward to witnessing your continued success in the years to come. And now, therefore, I, Misty Busher, Mayor of the City of Springfield, Illinois, together with the entire City Council here today, proclaim that we commend Sacred Heart Griffin High School boys golf team and their exceptional achievements, commendable representation of the City of Springfield, and on this day, October 24th of 2023, recognize them. Anyone want photos before we let them sit down?
I know.
We want some lessons.
That's right.
Amen.
Congratulations.
All right, good job, guys.
Congrats, guys. Good job.
So now I'm going to ask, there's a girls' golf team here and your coach to come up as well.
Maybe they'll give you some lessons.
You're the girls' golf team. Damn. That's what's
And I'm going to ask their coach to come up and talk about the accomplishments of the girls' golf team.
I'm Nick Petropoulos. I'm actually the assistant coach. Bob Ralph is in Seattle. Didn't realize this was going to partake, so it falls on me. I want to say these girls played extremely hard. I think they played around 27 rounds of golf in 2 months. So the last 3 rounds was regionals, which they won by over 70 strokes. Sectionals, they won over 30 strokes, and they came in second place. But we had a very special finish with Izzy Hasselbrock. She actually won state for the 1A. So we got...
We'll let them come up.
Yeah. The one thing we do have is a returning 5 next year. So we'll hopefully be back.
We're going to let these girls come up and introduce themselves to you one at a time.
I'm Izzy Hasselbrock. Macy Petropoulos. Maddie Johnston.
Layden Tamblin.
Natalie Zach.
Let's congratulate them one more time on their second place finish at state. And then we have a proclamation to read. It says, whereas the Sacred Heart Griffin High School girls golf team takes immense pride in nurturing the talents and achievements of its student athletes, and whereas Izzy Hasselbrock, right back here, a remarkable and dedicated member of the SHG girls golf team, has demonstrated extraordinary skill, determination, and sportsmanship throughout the golf season. And whereas Izzy Hasselbrock displayed exceptional skill in regional, sectional, and state competitions, showcasing an exemplary level of performance. And whereas Izzy Hasselbrock, her remarkable journey to victory stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of a true champion. On the first day, trailing by 4 strokes, she not only erased the deficit but rallied to secure the victory by a margin of 2 strokes. Her unwavering commitment, resilience, and unmatched skill have not only brought glory to herself, but also shines a radiant light on Sacred Heart Griffin High School girls golf team. Now, therefore, I, Misty Busher, Mayor of Springfield, Illinois, together with the entire City Council here today, do recognize Izzy Hasselbrock for her exceptional achievements in state, sectional, and regional championships on this 24th day of October, 2023.
Is that it? Yeah.
That's it.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate- Congratulations.
Nicely done.
Boy, you got some loud hands.
That's some church hands. I got church hands.
Okay. Next, we will have ordinances tabled or remaining in committee. Mr. Clerk, would you read them?
2023-201, 2023-202, 2023-203, 2023-420, 2023-421, 2023-430, 2023-431, 2023-432, 2023-443, 2023-451. I read the 2 that were on this was on the table committee for the special meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I appreciate that. Is there any action on these items? Does anybody want to remove or take action? If not, hearing none, we'll move on. Now we're on our ordinances for committee consideration. Mr. Clerk, you want to start with CWLP?
Chair,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
press the button.
So sorry.
I'm sorry. I would like to withdraw 2023-493. And I have just decided to withdraw this ordinance in good faith to seek further collaboration with corporate counsel and the Horseshoe. I have spoke to some of my colleagues, and in particular, one of my colleagues, there were some other ordinances brought up about housing. We have a few discrepancies within our system. Sometimes we have things that could be our fault, and when we bring things forward, it's only to enhance the process and help. So I would like to look forward to working more in collaboration with all of my colleagues. Thank you.
Sure. Alderman Gregory?
Yes, just to, I agree. I echo that statement. There has been several older people who have brought various ordinances to deal with housing. So obviously, we have to get together. I know we talked some months ago about putting together a committee, and I think it's about time for us to really do that. Put together something something good to move us forward on this situation that we continue to revisit. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Donovan?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair and Alderwoman. I just wanted to say thank you for not only bringing up an issue, and when we have issues in our system, and we all know what some of those are because we've discussed those in the past. But I appreciate you returning my call when I reached out to you about this ordinance and your willingness to sit down and chat, and anything I can do to help out the process, and hopefully we'll come up with something that makes the city better and the process better. So thank you.
Okay, so that was a motion to withdraw, I'm sorry,
No,
Mr. Rockford.
I just wanted to say, I think Sean hit on it, but originally when we got talking about these, the problem housing in the landlords and this sort of stuff, we had talked about forming some kind of 3-member committee and try to get to to form something and get better understanding and communication amongst us so we can better serve the city and our constituents. So I think we need to kind of press forward on that issue and have better communication and talk about things so we know we're all on the same page. So, thank you.
Okay, so it seems like folks want to do this, but, I recall we were going to do this. So how do we make this happen? And this is to anybody that wants to chime in on getting some movement, at least identifying who the 3 people or 4 people are and how we're going to attempt to do this. Anybody got suggestions or ideas?
I volunteer.
Okay, we'll let you, the rookie, take the lead on putting this together and moving this forward. Is that okay with everybody? Alderman Donlin?
Yeah, I appreciate anybody volunteering. I would love to participate. However, what I recommend, Mr. Chair, is that we have Corporation Counsel look into how we create ad hoc committees or committees, because I know we have language in our rules, and I just, without looking and taking the time to do that this evening, we should ask the Corporation Counsel's office to do that.
Okay, so,
We're happy to do that.
Just want to do it
yes.
right, that's all.
yeah, sure. So I'll have Alderman Rockford get with your office.
Absolutely.
Is that okay? Thank you. And thank you, Alderman.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Roy.
Hey, go ahead.
And I guess maybe this is to Katia. So how does that work when we only can have 3 people, but there's multiple members wanting to be involved?
As far as the Open Meetings Act, yeah, and that's one of the things that we're gonna have to examine, as far as the composition of the committee and, who can be part of that. That's something we're gonna have to, look into, and again,
Yes, sir.
we're happy to do that and send an email out to carry that forward
Thank you.
for you guys and spell it out a little more clear.
Yes. And then how long does it take to form this?
Again, I'm gonna have to take a closer look at the rules, just to get it all sorted out as to what we can or can't do, and then after that, I would think it could be pretty quickly after
Okay,
that.
can we get a update status next week, maybe?
Yes.
Here next week, by the way.
The week
Oh,
after?
yes, the first week of November.
That's
Yeah.
fine. Plenty of time then.
All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to read this ordinance. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody else popped up.
Yes. Alderman, I'm doing the same thing. Carlson, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't necessarily want to be on the committee, but I would just like to add in that, the timing of all these inspections, to me, there's got to be some sort of balance as far as, are we sort of a got you sort of thing where we're trying to make some money, or is it an education process, to the landlords as far as upkeep and what to do with their piece of property? So I just would add in that, to me, there's some sort of balance as far as timing when they're notified, as well as, to me, I'd like to be more on the education side of maybe what they're doing wrong than sort of a, hey, we got you sort of thing, and we impose some sort of fine.
Point of order, Chair.
Sure.
Since you withdrew it, it never came to discussion. Should we even be discussing this? I don't think she withdrew it, so there should be no discussion on the ordinance in itself. If we want to talk about this in, well, I guess it'd be old business, new business, whatever. But at this point, I don't think that, because otherwise the clerk would have to read it in, and technically it would be a motion to discuss, and Alderwoman Purchase has withdrawn it. I'm just,
Yes, so was it a motion to withdraw corporate counsel?
I did not, clerk,
I-
correct me if I'm wrong. Did I hear a motion? Was
Yeah,
there?
you heard a
Was
motion
there a
from me.
second for that?
second.
So it's been motioned and second.
Right.
And now is it appropriate to have discussion?
It is.
Continue on,
I thought once it was to be withdrawn, there's no discussion on it.
Well,
we
I'm
would need
glad I
to-
opened it up for some discussion,
There was a
Roy.
motion and a second, so to formally withdraw it, we would need a vote.
yes, that's what I was going for.
So it
Alright,
could
I
be
don't
open
care.
for discussion if that's what people
I
want
don't
to
care.
continue.
I just,
Well, so I got 2 more, so.
No, I'm good,
You're
Chairman.
done?
I'm good.
Okay, I'll just ask you, Alderwoman.
And Chair, thank you. I'll wait in new business.
Sure, no problem.
thank you.
Okay, so it's been motioned and properly second to withdraw this. All in favor signify by
Chairman,
saying.
may I read it first into the
Sure,
record?
go
Okay.
ahead.
2023-493, an ordinance amending Chapter 170, Section 10.06 of the 1998 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances as amended relating to inspections.
Okay, So now, hearing no more discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Withdrawn.
now we can move on.
All right, CWLP.
Yes.
2023-479, an ordinance approving a professional services agreement with Hanson Professional Services Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $48,300 for services encompassing the creation of RFQ and RFP for the partial and phased dismantle and tear down of Dolman Units 31, 32, and 33, and Lakeside's precipitator and chimney for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second to send this to consent. Any discussion? Hearing none, the ayes have it.
2023-480, an ordinance approves a statement of work to purchase additional licenses and maintenance for the CIS Infinity System from Advanced Utility Systems Corporation, a division of Harris Computer Corporation, in an amount not to exceed $54,000 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Discussion.
Properly moved in second to send this on to consent. Discussion is Alderman Redpath.
Can somebody tell me, is this going to be put out for bid, or are we going to use it? How's this going to work, Doug? Or is this the company you've decided on?
No, this is basically an existing company. That's the company that does our customer billing software. So
Okay.
we need additional license. So basically, there's other departments that utilize the system, such as the police department.
Okay.
So we have to buy more licenses
All right, thank
to
you.
accommodate them.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
any more discussion? Okay, it's been properly moved in second to send this on to consent. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
2023-481, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a replacement load tap charger from Normandy Machine Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $55,790.36 for the Office of Public
Move for
Utilities.
consent.
Second.
Properly moved in second to send this to consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Public Works, 2023-482, an ordinance accepting the lowest bid and authorizing execution of contract number PW 24-08-45 with Hare Construction for Northeast Pilot Area sanitary sewer improvements in the amount not to exceed $636,027 for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent.
Second.
Been properly moved in second to send this to consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
2023-483, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental one to an agreement with Crawford Murphy and Tilley Incorporated in an additional payment of $276,919.27 for a total amount not to exceed $553,919.27 for preliminary and design engineering and land acquisition services for Headley Road for the Office of Public Works.
Move to consent.
Been properly moved in second to send this to consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, I'm sorry,
Sorry.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask Director Fuchs if we could, the work at Headley intersection, I realize it's not in my ward, but I get a lot of comments and concerns from people about what's going to happen there. I just want to make sure that if we could maybe get kind of some updates on how the engineering and design is going, and make sure that we're able to share that with people, because we've had conversations in the past about what that is, tentatively going to be looking like. And given how many people have reached out to me with their near-miss stories or accident stories, certainly would like to get, kind of just keep people updated on what's going on with this intersection.
The additional work is essentially been ordered by IDOT and the federal government. So it's expanded the scope of the entire project. And so this money includes additional engineering work. I've got a long list of things I could go through if you like.
We don't need to go to, just as we move forward in this project, if we could just occasionally get regular updates on it.
I would be happy to do that.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Stay there, Dave, if you don't mind.
Yes, Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, and Director, we had there was a public meeting on what they were going to do there at the Headley and West White Oaks. I never, if I did hear it, it happened so long ago, of what the plan was for that intersection. If we could get an update on that.
The original plan, and then, of course, this calls for an update of that plan.
Yeah, it might have changed from what the plan was, I think.
It will.
And
yes.
so, And what a lot of this is if you've driven down Headley by Lowe's, as you go toward Lowe's, the road narrows and it's got ditches on both sides, and what the plan is I think to widen it and put sewers and whatnot there, so, along with the Headley and West White Oaks
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
intersection, which is there's a lot of accidents there, so.
I'm generally familiar with the difficulties. I know the original plan was found, I don't want to say it was found wanting, but the state and the federal government decided it should be expanded, and that's what this authorizes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? It's been moved in second to send this on to consent. If there's no more discussion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
2023-484, a supplemental resolution for the improvement by municipality under the Illinois Highway Code, MFT number 20-00446-00-PV for Headley Road from Cokie Mill Road to West White Oaks Drive for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent.
Second.
Been properly moved in second to send this ordinance to consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion for an omnibus vote on 2023-485 through 489. I believe they're all rail improvement, usable segment 6A.
Second.
Pieces. Or the six, I should say six, there's some 6B.
Correct.
Second, Mr. Chair.
So you're, okay, and it's been properly moved in second, and you're saying it's 2023-485?
485 to 489.
To 489, okay. Do you need to read those, Mr. Clerk?
I do.
Please.
Thank you. 2023-485, an ordinance authorizing second supplemental relocation expenses for occupants and their personal property located on parcel SR 0030, located at 1321 North 15th Street, for an amount not to exceed $78,800 relating to the Springfield Rail Improvement Project, usable segment 6A for the Office of Public Works. 2023-486, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of real estate located at 1006 Ridgeley Avenue between the City of Springfield and Fred A. Levine, Jr., in the amount not to exceed $1,200 relating to the Springfield Rail Improvement Project, usable segment 6B for the Office of Public Works. 2023-487, an ordinance authorizing supplemental relocation expenses in the amount not to exceed $1,000 for the relocation of occupants and personal property located on parcel SR 0051, located at 1130 East North Grand Avenue, relating to the usable segment 6A of the Springfield Rail Improvement Projects for the Office of Public Works. 2023-488, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of real estate located at 1653 East North Grand Avenue between the City of Springfield and Florence A. Yoakum and Lawrence A. Yoakum, in the amount not to exceed $1,000 relating to the Springfield Rail Improvement Project, usable segment 6A for the Office of Public Works. 2023-489, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of real estate located at 1663 East North Grand Avenue between the City of Springfield and CK Dairy Dreams Incorporated, in the amount not to exceed $1,000 relating to the Springfield Rail Improvement Project, usable segment 6B for the Office of Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So it's been properly moved in second.
For omnibus.
No, that was just for the omnibus. You'll need a vote for.
We need a vote.
For passage.
For omnibus.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? No more discussion. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Motion for consent?
Second.
there you go. Yeah. Been properly moved in second to send this on to consent. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Oh, Red Path, that's when you go.
Director, can you tell us what the status is on the demolition of all those houses on the north end and buildings that are, is there something that's holding us up? These houses are being used for, as you probably already know, there's homeless living in them. A lot of stolen items are showing up in those houses, and there's a lot of activity out there that we need to deal with. I know the police is dealing with it. Can you tell us how soon and what's the process?
I was on 10th and Reservoir yesterday with several police officers dealing with that exact situation. All of the homes are of an age that they more than likely have some asbestos in them. We have concluded the inspection, and we know the houses that have asbestos. We're preparing to let the contract for the asbestos abatement. Once that is done, the houses will come down. timeline, we're probably looking at the first of the year that the houses will actually be demolished.
So can we continue with the demolition of the ones that don't test positive for asbestos?
It would all be under one contract.
Well, wouldn't it be more prevalent to take the ones that we can take down now so we can start getting these things down, or?
I don't believe there's many that don't have asbestos.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
For the most part, they're of an age that the tiles in the kitchens and the bathrooms, that's where most of it's at.
All right.
Some of it's wrapped around some of the piping.
I know you know it. I know you've walked those alleys several times yourself, so I know you understand it. It's just it's a big problem.
I understand the urgency that everyone feels. I join you in that. I'm there on a very regular basis with our cleanup crews, and certainly, as I said yesterday, with the officers of the Springfield Police Department, and we're doing everything we can to keep them boarded and secured as best we can. It's a difficult.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Notariano.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And thank you. I appreciate all the work that Public Works and the police department are doing to keep these houses secure. So you have a list of them, then, the houses?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to suggest that we make that list public. That way, people can know if they live next door to one of these houses, we're going to bid the demolition in January or in May or whenever.
Well, I believe the original discussion was about the properties that we own that are associated with usable segment 6 with the high-speed rail.
Okay. Yeah.
There are other properties around the city, some that the city owns. A lot of them are not owned by the city, and we are working with the general counsel's office to get those through the court process because that is private property. And I know it distresses a lot of neighborhoods. I see personally what one vacant and abandoned property can do in an established neighborhood, and it's awful. I was just with some of the neighborhood watch folks from Monument Avenue just last Friday, and we walked the alleys and at a property on Yates. It's been vacant for quite some time. It was boarded up, and it's been secure for a while, but it's continuing to degenerate. So we really have to work on all of those on a case-by-case basis, but I appreciate the concern that the neighbors have. I hear about it all the time.
Sure thing. And so, yeah, my house that I'm thinking of probably isn't segment 6, but it is a rail house, a rail project house, over on Isles and 4th Street.
409 East Isles. I was there this afternoon. Yes,
Yep.
ma'am.
Yep. So, so yeah, I would say like all the rail houses, like if we could have an idea of houses that the city owns,
Certainly. we
you
can do
know,
that.
just
Absolutely.
only the ones the city owns.
Yes,
Because,
and the city does own that particular property.
sure,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely. I appreciate it so much.
I did check it today, and it is boarded up. It is secured. There is no sign that I could see that there are squatters in it. There may be some people taking shortcuts through the backyard, but rest assured, the next-door neighbor challenged me as I was in the backyard, and we had a vigorous discussion about the city's ownership of that property.
I don't blame him.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That it okay? So, any other alderwoman or alderman? So I'll just say, it would be helpful. I mean, well, I could say to the alder people that when we know what's city-owned and what's private, that helps because then you can explain to the neighbors or the neighborhood association our responsibility. When it's ours, they really come hard, right away. But when it's privately owned and we can say, hey, it's in the judge's hand or it's in court, it's been adjudicated, not to overflood legal. Sometimes I send them to legal. But obviously, you guys see how this has really turned into this big problem. But it's not like we do rail, continuously. I mean, it seems like it, but it's coming to an end. In other words, is what I'm getting at. But we have to do a better job at educating the public on what we own and what we don't own. So that's why I can relate to this list that you kind of was headed toward. And then secondly, I would say that maybe between the police department, because I wear them out trying to get these guys out of there, and then I wear you out. And I appreciate both departments. We spend a lot of time on it. I just don't know if we're doing everything as smart as we can. So maybe we can find a way of educating not just the public, but educating ourselves within the departments of kind of what's going on. Because I do think the homeless are manipulating the system. They know it well. They know what they can do, what they can't do, what's owned by the city, what ain't owned by. I mean, I argue with these guys. Like I said, a guy gave me a no trespassing sign, and I knew the house had been abandoned forever. Told me I was trespassing and had a sign in his hand, and he just was a squatter. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I hope we can kind of sit down and make it even better, because we got to do something, especially if the timelines don't hold. When like you're saying, the end of the year, we can only hope. That's all I'm going to say. Because if something delays that, it makes us appear as a city that we're not doing anything about these squatters that are everywhere that people have to live next door to. I got businesses, as Chuck has referenced, on North Grand that have been robbed. They found all their equipment in one of the houses. The chief had to get the equipment out of the houses for me. Then I had the same guy who has the storage units. He's losing customers. His customers are packing up and going to another storage because they're too afraid that these 3 houses that are empty, owned by the city, with homeless in them, are going to break into the storage and rob them. So we have some issues. I appreciate you, Director. I know I preach this to you all the time, and I just hope by listening to the other councilmen, we really can move on some of this and work smarter. I think we're working hard. I'm just not sure we're working smarter. So I just wanted to tell you that. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Let's see.
You got more people.
Okay, who we got? We got Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you.
And then after him will be you.
And Director, I understand that, that we got asbestos in that, and as we get these, hopefully I don't know what the process is to get it tested and get the results back as soon as possible, but in the case of Alderwoman Nutriano's house, I believe that was segment 3, maybe?
Early.
So I believe that's been vacant for a while, if that was truly
That's actually city property. Well, let me get just a couple things. Yeah, okay. So the city-owned property, there are several properties that we own, that we bought, that we think we're going to bring an ordinance declaring it surplus that we believe we can sell. So that's one of the properties we believe that we can.
Wait, the one that had a fire and has.
No.
409, the one we were just talking
The 409.
409 East Laurel, or Isles, excuse me.
Yeah, the 409 location.
On Isles?
Yes, on Isles. We believe that
You can sell that.
we believe that that's a property, yes, that we can
Okay.
declare as surplus, that we can put out for sale as potentially somebody in the area may buy. There's, I think, around 8 parcels that I'm preparing an ordinance for. We'll have them listed for you. You can all review them and see. We think they were part of the rail project, but we think there is some value in them that they aren't just something that we would tear down and have vacant lots, that they are properties that we can, with the housing market as it is, put out for sale.
Okay, my point was just going to be that maybe we need to go back and look from the previous and see if we have some abandoned houses that are not going to get sold or whatever. We need to move on those because they've been sitting there for, and then work our way down. And I mean, I had the fortune, I was able to go through Memorial Stadium, and all those houses across North Grand are all vacant. And my understanding is that it's pretty bad over there, and those need to come down too. So I understand about the asbestos and all that, but we got to kind of move on these.
Right, and with respect to that, we did just open the contract for that. We should be bringing it next week for the demolition of all of those houses.
Great.
So, yeah, so those that's the asbestos and the demolition.
And here's the thing,
So,
both
yeah.
of you, we're not, we're hearing it, all of us are hearing it. And I'm all at the lake, but it used to be my ward out there. So, you know what, I still have a lot of friends out there, and I know these guys are working their tails off too. As, I know Dave Fuchs is over there all the time because I hear it from everybody. So you guys are doing a good job. Just keep doing it. We just want to help or support you however we can.
No, but yeah, we opened, I think, 30-something properties and to get torn down with asbestos.
Thank you.
So that should be coming right
Appreciate
away.
it. Thank you, Director.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. Director Fuchs, thank you for taking the time out to walk in my area on Monument with that neighborhood association too. I would think that, couldn't we get a quarterly list of, because you don't know when these houses are coming up to get added to the demo list? Could we have like a quarterly list so we're able to speak with our neighborhood associations and help you all out? Do you think that would be helpful to us as well?
We'll try and put it together, sure.
And my last thought is, as we have our inspectors, because I know from me, you get about 25, 30 emails a week about complaints over in my areas. Could those inspectors, when they're driving by, it doesn't take them any time to just stop and take a peek to make sure that the houses continue to stay boarded as we're going into the winter months and people may start fires inside of those houses to stay warm? Can they just get out and walk around real quick?
Generally, the inspectors are very aware of the problem properties in their area, and I know that they make efforts to get by them as often as they can. But a lot of our inspectors have extremely busy schedules. I talked to one of our inspectors last week, and one day he had 32 individual inspections. And those are on the list. Those are the inspections that he has to get through. They're all aware of what's going on in the neighborhoods, but they're really pressed for time. I'll mention it to all of them again, but they bring issues to me on a regular basis. They're working as hard as they can.
Okay, thank you.
Call the question.
No more questions? Okay. I'm trying to figure out where I'm at, guys.
You've got a motion and a second, so now you're looking for a final vote.
Okay, so are we going to consent with this, or what are we voting?
Yes.
You're voting on the actual passage of all the
Okay.
omnibus votes.
Okay. I got you. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Yes. General City Business, 2023-490, an ordinance authorizing a decrease in the number of Class D liquor licenses by one due to change in ownership, corporation for Blue Margaritas Mexican Bar and Grill Incorporated, doing business as Blue Margaritas Mexican Bar and Grill, located at 3151 Horizon Drive.
Move to consent.
Motion, yeah.
Second.
They don't like me to do that as chair, but.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Been properly moved in second to move this to consent. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
2023-491, an ordinance to increase the number of Class D liquor licenses by one for Blue Margaritas Springfield LLC due to a corporation change located at 3151 Horizon Drive.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Been properly moved in second to send this to consent. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
2023-492, an ordinance to increase the number of Class D liquor licenses by one for Yummy Crab Restaurant LLC, doing business as Yummy Crab Restaurant, located at 3165 South Dirksen Parkway.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Been properly moved in second to send this to consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
2023-494, an ordinance approving a moratorium on the enforcement of residency requirement, Chapter 36, Section 36.05 of the 1988 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances.
Motion for debate.
Move for debate.
Second.
Been properly moved in second to send this ordinance on to debate. Any discussion? Yeah, we had someone here to sign up, Mr. Clerk, to speak to this issue.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Joe McMinimum.
Welcome back.
It's been 6 months. I got to say, it's been wonderful to be without the phone calls, text messages, emails, and so forth, and preparing for Tuesday night meetings. Congratulations to the new alderpersons and to all the returning alderpersons. Thanks for the opportunity to discuss residency. It's a very important issue. It deserves careful attention, and I'd like to just give some history, some historical background to the issue. The city did not have a residency requirement until 1976. At that time, our commission form of government passed a residency requirement. At that time, we had 1,400 city employees, and according to the SJR at the time, 87 lived outside the city limits, so 87 of 1,400. And the commissioners at that time thought, well, they were concerned about that. And at that time, it was mostly utility employees that lived outside the city limits. We had, according to the SJR, about 3 or 4 police officers outside the city limits and roughly the same number of firefighters outside the city limits. So they passed the ordinance, and essentially from 1976 to 2000, we became an entirely residential city for our employees. By the year 2000, we had about 1,700 employees, and they all lived within the city limits, all 1,700 of them. And at that time, the city council then passed a ordinance to do away with residency. And at the time, most thought that it would be of little consequence. But that's not the way it turned out. So in year 2000, we've got 1,700 employees living within our city limits. Within 4 years, 20% of our employees did not live within the city limits by 2004. By 2009, 30% of our city employees did not live within our city limits. And at that point in time, some of the aldermen began raising concerns. And the concern was, all that, we're sending our wealth outside of the city to be spent outside of our city. And we're losing some middle-class backbone. We're losing some pillars of the community, that type of concern. So in year 2012, the city council and Alderman Edwards was strongly in support of it. Alderwoman, now Senator Doris Turner, was strongly in support of a referendum on the question of residency. So the question was put on the ballot in November of 2012, 11 years ago. And it was just a basic question. It was an advisory question. Voters, do you think we should reset a residency obligation for future hires? We weren't going to drag people back into the city that were already outside, just for new city hires. And that ordinance that was introduced by excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. We had an ordinance in 2016, which I'll get to. But so the referendum had these results. 29,000 of our residents said, yes, let's have a residency requirement. 29,000. The ward with the highest yes vote was Ward 10. 4,000 in Ward 10 said, yes, let's have a residency requirement. The percentage of yes overall was 59% across the whole city. Ward by ward, it kind of was anywhere from 56% up to 67%, except for Ward 1. Ward 1 had a split decision. It was basically 50%, 50% in Ward 1. So after that, advisory referendum, a year later, the city council proposed an ordinance. It was sponsored by Alderwoman Turner, myself, and Mayor Langfelder. And basically, that ordinance, which is still in the books right now, basically says, if you're outside the city limits, okay, that's a done deal. You can stay outside the city limits. But for new hires, you'll have 12 months to move in the city. And if you can't make appropriate arrangements within 1 year, then the mayor and the city directors can exercise their discretion if there's an extreme hardship and give an additional 6 months to move in. So that's the way things stand now. I'm very concerned that this ordinance as written would open the barn door and we'd never be able to close it again like we did in 2012. So that's my concern. I've always focused on the economic impact, the positive economic impact of residency. So just for easy math, let's say our city payroll is $100 million, and 30% of our employees do not live within the city limits. They live in Chatham or Rochester, Pleasant Plains, or Decatur, who knows? I mean, they're spread out. So let's say 30% live outside of city limits. 30% of our payroll of, let's say, 100 million, it's higher than that, it's $30 million. So $30 million, what's the rule of thumb of, for every dollar you put into a local economy, how many times does it turn over? 7 times is the rule of thumb. So that $30 million goes outside our city limits and gets turned over. It turns over 3 times, let's say. That's $90 million of spending outside of our city limits. It has a very significant impact on our sales tax, because that's spending that's taking place outside that does not generate sales tax for our city government expenses. Now, it's not just our city current payroll. We've got to look at the retirees that once they're living outside the city limits, presumably they remain outside the city limits. And I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, if I'm going over, I'm almost done.
So I think you're speaking to an issue, and I can get some clarity from corporate counsel, but this is not like at the end of city council where you get 5 minutes. But I could be wrong. Is it the same rule?
It is, unless the chair would like to give them discretion.
Okay, I'll give you a couple more minutes since you're previous alderman.
Okay, thank you very much. And this is more in the nature of a presentation where we have people come in and present. They get 10, 15, 20 minutes on a certain situation. We've also got our retirees that live outside the city limits. So if you calculate what percentage of our retirees live outside the city, and you do the multiplier on that type of spending, it's another $50 to $1 million. Then, the state of Illinois shares revenue with the municipality based on the population. So if we lose population, that's less revenue sharing. It's $240 per head basically right now. So if we got 3,000 less population, 3,000 times $240, that's lost revenue. It's a utility issue in the sense that if we've got households living outside the city that would otherwise be living within the city if we had a residency requirement, that's revenue that's not going to our utility because they're not paying into city WLP for water, electric, and so forth. So in summary, here's what I'd recommend to the city council. Work with our existing ordinance, and if we say that you've got 1 year to move into the city after being hired, extend that to 18 months or 2 years. And we have a tight job market right now. If someone's married, they have a home in Decatur, it's going to be tough for them to find a home in Springfield and deal with the increased interest charges. So expand the time to move in to a greater number of months. Give our mayor more authority and our directors to give a discretionary waiver a temporary waiver of the residency requirement. And I would say, think long-term and not short-term on this. Think of what's good for the city long-term. And I hope that you'll come up with a good solution 2 weeks from now.
I thank you for coming, and I'll just say this is going on debate, and actually we got a couple of weeks instead of 1 week because we're not here next week. So, we got a minute before we bring this back up for final passage for all of us to discuss and trade, whatever we're going to do to figure out what's going to happen with this ordinance. I know in my ward every day somebody wants to work for the city, and they think an alderman can get them a job at the city, and they can do all this. I'm a pro Springfield type person, regardless if it's the school district, if it's the city jobs, whatever. I think employees are our most important asset. I think that's what makes the city, and it gives us our pride and does all this. So you kind of know where I'm going to be on this, but I'm open-minded for if there's areas where we may need. So I just think we have 2 weeks to discuss this and really think about it and do some research. I know I'm going to do that. I'm going to look at other municipalities, and Peoria, Bloomington, what do they do? Do they have residency? That type of thing.
Mr. Chair, I believe another gentleman wishes to speak.
Just state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is George Tinkham. I live at 423 West Vine Street. I'm in Ward 5. And I'm also a precinct committeeman, so I get a chance to walk and talk to my neighbors a lot. And this is one of the topics that we brought up. And I've talked to Democrats, Republicans. The answer's always the same. The consensus is, Joe gave a very good presentation, and I can just give you the background of probably what you've already heard from your own constituency, that if you work in the city, you live in the city. They just don't buy the argument, if I can get a little rough with my language, that the city is such a crappy place to live that you couldn't possibly get a worthwhile employee to work for us unless you let them live in a less crappy place. That's just not selling. And I urge you to, as a matter of pride in your city, as a matter of diligence, to work with the prospective employee base that we have nowadays, with the housing struggles that may exist out there, to go along with what Joe has said. This may be a short-term situation that we're facing. Let's not destroy a working ordinance that will work into the future. And let's keep our employee base strong. Employees tend to take the greatest amount of pride in the places where they work. At least that's been my experience. I mean, in the places where they live. And I would hope that we would keep the ordinance either as is or expand it to provide additional compassion, if necessary, to take care of prospective employees. That's my comment. And again, I thank you for the opportunity. Let me just burst in here without signing up and giving my 2 cents worth.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Alderman Hanna.
Thank you. One of the things that with residency that we tried to expand it to Sangamon County, and there was an absolute no. It wasn't going to happen. We don't even allow Leland Grove, who has a Springfield address, they can't work in a city. It's been, I don't know, six months to a year ago that I got contacted by someone of the IBEW. We are losing linemen like crazy. We've got a large group that are retiring, that will be retiring, and when they get hired, they go through school. They got their choice. They can go to Ameren, where they can live wherever they want. All they got to do is when it's time to show up, they got to be on time, or if there's an emergency, they got to be there within a certain period of time. Here, you have to live in the city. This past year, from what I understand, we've had 25 housing starts, and that's with residency. 25. Think about that. 25 housing starts. Realtors, you hear all the time, there's not enough houses for people to buy. I understand, but, one of the things that was brought up in the past was that somebody moves in, they're paying property tax. Every property in this city pays property tax unless they become delinquent. Every one. So when I found out that we have we're going to have a hard time having linemen, and we know from the past storm how important they were. But they're going to be at other places where they don't have to. They're not confined to where they live. Some people like to live out on acreage. We don't have a lot of that in the city. People have the reasons for wanting to live in the different areas, be it school districts, whatever. That's their choice. And, since we've seen, and now it's not only with the linemen, we're having a hard time getting people hired on certain positions. And the residency, I think, is a part of it. I understand we lost a very good employee that worked for Mr. Dahl because she couldn't find a house in the city that she wanted to live in. And so we have her for a year, and then they leave. So what we're doing, we're just training people for a year. That's not good. We're wasting our resources. So when the mayor talked about this, that's when I jumped on board, because I do think that we're not abolishing it. We're putting a moratorium on, and let's see if we have a better, we do better hiring. And if we don't, then we got to figure out what the problem is. But this is the first step. And then maybe we look at Sangamon County or look at a 20-mile radius around. But I just don't think that I think we've had it. We're having problems. There's no housing starts. It's not like it's made a boom in housing. So, that's why I'm for this. So thank you.
Alderman Gravely.
Thank you, Chair. I would just ask a few questions for my own knowledge. So I know, Alderman Hanauer, you said that people from Leland Grove can't work in the city and they have a city address. Could I work for Leland Grove? Do you know that?
I don't know. I would imagine.
I just was asking, because just asking.
Grandview, I don't know. Grandview's the same way.
I'm just asking. And I would like to know, and I think this would be a question for Corporation Counsel, what percentage do we have of grandfathered in employees that live outside the city? What is that percentage at now?
Percentage of what, Alderman? I'm sorry.
Of those who are grandfathered to live outside the city?
I'm afraid I don't have that number offhand, but that's certainly something that we can get to you guys before next week.
Thank you, ma'am. I would be interested in that. And then finally, that's an interesting argument with our linemen and things of that nature. I know we within the last few years, we had a young man come up here pleading to be a lineman. Went through the training, and they let him go. He's currently still looking for a job, jobless. And if it's the lineman, also, Corporation Counsel, can you send me what the mayor's authority on waiver is on that? I know we was mentioning something about waivers and things of that nature.
Yes, there is a provision in our ordinance that discusses that.
Review that. So if that is the area that we are having problems with, then maybe that's the area that we need to work on as far as waivers or really working at that. I agree with many who have said, it's something about people who work in the city of Springfield, live in the city of Springfield, taking pride in the city in which they're from. Not only that, but, community policing and on and on and on, the things that we have grown prideful for in our community. I think those things are very, very important, and we can't lose sight of those things. But as Alderman Williams said, I'm going to keep an open mind. I can't support a moratorium with no data how long we're going to do it and things. However, I do think that, if it's linemen that we're having problems with and things, then we need to work on getting some people from Springfield. Electricity is a different game, and it's hard to get people in there for sure. But there have been some, and they come up here, basically begging for their job, begging for the opportunity to continue to be an apprentice, with CWLP and alignment. So, that's my take on it. I just would like to review that information, and I think, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Alderman Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am, the residency issue, for me, my 35 years here, it's sort of gone back and forth, as we heard from a previous speaker. I've taken a little poll the last few weeks, colleagues I work with, neighbors. I'm not sure if some of them even know what the residency issue requirement is. And I look at it right now, we can look at the school district, for example. I think there's different residency issue for if you're an administrator or if you're a teacher. So that even confuses it a little bit more. I look at it from the fact that the city, we want to hire the best and the brightest, and I'm not sure pre-pandemic if we were getting those numbers. And let's go to the pandemic. Certainly, since the pandemic, the way we do business, the way we shop, the way we go to work, everything has changed because of the pandemic. We still see people with masks. We Zoom. Restaurants are closed an extra day of the week. I was in a grocery store the other day. There are just long lines, and for whatever reason, people just are not coming back to work. We talk about the linemen. That's very important and great. I look at our police force. The number one job of government is protection of people. Our police force, as we know, And we've talked about it up here. We are down 25 police officers from where we were 4 or 5 years ago. We don't even have a traffic enforcement division. And I think, and I've talked to police officers, they're concerned about getting the best talent in their ranks. And I think by this moratorium, or putting the moratorium on, yeah, I think we need to certainly reach beyond the city of Springfield and sort of these arbitrary restrictions around the city of Springfield as well as Grandview and Leland Grove. I would certainly look to move these boundaries at a minimum in Sangamon County, and maybe it's 20, 25 miles. So I would just urge the fact that, you know, I think we're selling people short who live in Chatham or Pawnee or Auburn, who want to work in the city of Springfield, who on their way home at night are going to stop at the Walmart. They're going to stop at Harvest Market. They're going to shop in the city of Springfield where we want them to shop. We advertise outside the city of Springfield. I mean, the number one, our sales tax is where we essentially get most of our revenue in the city of Springfield. It's sales tax. So if we're out there advertising for people to come to Springfield, you know, we want them to spend their money here, but at the same time, we're telling them that we don't want you to work for the city of Springfield. So really my main point to leave you with, since the pandemic, we are just not getting the employees. We get it every day on our phone. I mean, we got job openings today of applications for the city of Springfield. You know, we're just not getting the people. If we were getting the people, it might be different. We could give the city residents some preference points or whatever, but until we get a big rush of applicants for the city of Springfield, I think we need to look beyond these arbitrary restrictions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Alderman Rockford.
Yes, first I'll speak on the lineman part that Alderman Hanauer was talking about. I have spoken to the city about journeyman linemen that want to come and work for CWLP. They put applications in, and I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know if they didn't pass test or what, but there are linemen that want to come to work CWLP, and they will move into Springfield. So, and I get calls weekly from a gentleman. So, again, in getting back to property tax, you know, the pensions, the fireman pensions and the police pensions, and the money that's used from property taxes for the pensions. People move out of the city. We don't force them to live in the city. What are we losing? How are we going to make that money up to pay for pensions? So my question is what's the difference between the sales tax and the property tax? If the sales tax is the most money that comes into the city of Springfield, what's the comparison between that and the property tax? If anybody, you know, so just food for thought. Police officers, what do we pay our police officers in the city of Springfield compared to Bloomington or Champaign or the St. Louis area or where we recruit? Are we paying them enough? I don't know. I mean, maybe that's something we need to look at and change those things to bring people in. I don't know. It's a tough decision. It's a tough thing that we got to decide on, and I hope we can have discussion within the next 2 weeks and talk about that stuff. But you know, moving in and out, and you know, if we need the property tax to pay pensions, and we got to make that money up somehow. You know, we put 100% towards pensions of our property taxes we get. How are we going to make it up? So there's questions to be answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Redpath.
So this is a moratorium. It's a moratorium that the city council can revisit at any time. The urgency is the lineman. It absolutely is. And when we were in the storm we just had, we had to go outside and get some linemen. But there's also an urgency in the police department, the fire department, because we used to get 1,000 people come take those tests. Guess what? We're getting dozens now, and half of those aren't making it because they can't pass the test. Bottom line is that we got to open up the door to get some people to come in here and fill the gaps. As far as the argument goes about sales tax and people taking their money and then leaving here and going to shop somewhere else, that's malarkey. I can tell you right now, Rochester doesn't have a grocery store. And all those people shop right at the county market, right on South Grand and J.C. Penney's and everything else. Most of the small towns around Springfield, they have to come to Springfield to shop. That money's being spent in Springfield. As far as the pension fund with the property taxes versus the sales tax, we've exhausted that years ago because the pensions are so high that we can't keep up with them. So right now it's being supplemented by the sales tax. The only way we're going to fix that is if we raise the property tax, and nobody wants to do that. It hasn't been raised since 1987. It's a big problem. We need to think about this, and this is an ordinance that gives us an opportunity to open the door and see if we can't fix some of our problems. We got empty spots all over. It's not just the utility and the police department. I know guys that are working at the power plant. Some guys are working 6 days a week, and I can tell, and you guys know them. So the bottom line is we got to help our workforce. We got to get the right people in here. This is a moratorium. If it doesn't work, we come back and cut it off. We don't want to do, the bottom line is we want people to come to Springfield. They're not building houses here. People if they leave here, there's still going to be property tax paid there unless the house is going to get torn down. That property tax isn't going anywhere. People buy it, the other people are going to buy the house. If the houses are being condemned and torn down, yeah, that's a different story. But right now, sales tax is supplementing our pensions because we don't make enough off our property tax to pay for the pensions.
Are you finished, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Chair. So I think we're going to have some interesting discussions around this issue. The one thing I'd like to say, I think we need to be very careful in how we talk about this, because there's been a lot of conversation about forcing people to come to Springfield and requiring people to live here. And that is the current, understanding condition for employment for people who work for the city. I think I will say, just kind of as a generalized policy issue, I'm not real comfortable with telling people where they have to live. There are people, Alderman Hanauer referred to it, there are people who might want some acreage. There are different ways that different people unwind after their day at work and what they want from their own personal living space. And I think we need to be very respectful of that. I will say, if someone who moved to Springfield, I chose to come to this city. I've chose to stay here. I love being in this city. This is a fabulous place to live. It's a fabulous place to work. And I think we need to make sure that just because we're talking about this possible moratorium, people aren't going to all stop moving to Springfield to work here. This is a great place to live. We have decent housing prices. We've got easy access to quality health care. We've got good shopping here. I do most of my shopping is in the city of Springfield. I will go somewhere else for some things, usually when I'm on vacation. But, we need to be looking at the fact that this is a city that we are selling. Now, if it's difficult to get someone who lives in Pawnee or Auburn to move their house, but they're the best employee for us, are we doing our city and our residents a service by denying them the best applicable candidate? I don't know if that's right. I've got an open mind on this. We've got 2 weeks until we hear this issue in debate and before a full council meeting. And I fully expect people to reach out and talk to us about their thoughts, their questions, their concerns about this issue. But I really want to make sure that we, as elected representatives of this city, aren't talking about this as we're going to force you to be here. This is a pleasure to be in this city. We've got great parks, we've got strong schools, we can attract people. And I just want to make sure that we keep that level of dialogue going, because this is a great city. If a moratorium and not feeling that pressure of having to move increases our candidate pool, I'm in favor of that. I will say personally, I love the fact that I have a heavy traffic, 15-minute commute to my job. That's a big attracting factor for a lot of people who do not like to drive, right? So let people feel the benefits and see the benefits of living in our fine city. So I just, looking forward to the comments from my constituents over the next 2 weeks. I think we're going to have a healthy dialogue and discussion around this issue, but we also, just real quickly, one last comment, Chair. we do need to recognize that the workforce is changing. There are a lot of people who are accustomed to remote working, who like the flexibility of a different type of a workspace. It's not always driving into an office every day. And I think if, we need to make sure that we're not trying to hire people for 2000 when we're living in the year almost 2024. Things have changed a lot. As Alderman Carlson pointed out, I mean, the pandemic forced a lot of changes on us, and we're living with that right now. So I think we need to all keep in an open mind and have a very healthy dialogue around this. And I'm looking forward to discussion from all of my colleagues and from all of my constituents. Please reach out. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Alderman Downey.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. To the ordinance, let's assume for a second, Corporation Council, that this ordinance passes, and my question really is kind of building upon what Alderman Redpath says.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say a year later, the council decides to reverse the moratorium. What happens to the employees that were hired in that period, during that period, and do not live in the city? Are they grandfathered in?
That's honestly something that will probably need to be addressed, either now or at the time that the moratorium is lifted, to clarify that issue, if it hasn't been already through MOUs or other various things.
One of the things that was brought up earlier was the fact that when we passed the ordinance back in 2016, that there obviously was grandfathering in. And I mean, if that's the intent, I just think it's a question that we got to flush out. And I did receive a call from a constituent yesterday afternoon about that, and I assumed that they would be grandfathered in if that scenario played out, but I just think we need to be very clear.
I do believe that that is the intent, but again, I do think that it is something that will either need to be clarified now on the front end or on the back end if or whenever the moratorium is lifted.
And I got to say, I appreciate you looking at that, but I appreciate a lot of the comments and ideas that have been put forward tonight. Things that first of all, looking at the existing rules and waiver, that was a good idea, and kind of trying to figure this out. I understand the police, fire, and for the linemen, the issues that have been presented, and to welcome the discussion, but if you could please clarify that. Thank you.
Certainly.
Okay, Alderman Gray.
Final few thoughts that I had while others was talking that I just felt necessary to get out. Alderman Carlson, there is no residency requirement for our police officers. I actually commend them because they have, over the 4 years, probably added 20 officers or so, maybe. I'm sure you don't have it on you, but they've added a heck of a lot of officers on our police department. Chief just said a few weeks ago that they're at a good place, and he would like to continue to hire. The fire department, a long time ago, we had conversation after conversation after conversation about minorities and on the fire department. They went out, they worked hard, and they had 18 minorities in the last list. So it can be done to fill these things within our city. We can fill these things within our city. So I think that would be important. How many police and fire have we added over the last 2 years, I would say? How many is on the current list that we have, because both of them have lists that expire in a year. And finally, we have to remember that the state can impose for us to raise property taxes if we do not meet our pension obligations. We have to keep all of those things in mind, as this is a very serious matter that we are taking up. And again, if we are going to go with the moratorium, I couldn't be for it, but I would encourage you guys to make sure that we have a date when we're going to come back and we're going to review it. The state just passed the Safety Act. Within the Safety Act, they took out the provision for bargaining for police officers in cities our size, right? So that means that it's no longer a bargaining topic when it goes to contract time. But if we have this moratorium on there, then it's not a topic. They don't have one now. They can go outside the city and hire people. We don't want them to do that. We want community policing. But they have made significant gains hiring within this city or the close outskirts, I'm sure of it. We see it. We see new young people. I run into them every morning as they're getting off at 6 a.m. and it's a breath of fresh air for our community near and far. So I just wanted to mention those things, Ms. Corporation Counsel. If you could give me that information, I appreciate it, as well as the department heads. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Redpath.
So just to revisit real quickly, if we bring this moratorium in, there still is city preference for people who live in the city to get the preference over somebody else from outside the city. So that's gonna be an incentive to people in the city to apply. As far as the police department's numbers, I can tell you, yes, we've added a lot of people, but we've had a lot of retirements, and there 3 stages where we're losing people. First off, on the front end of it, when we do our recruiting, we don't pay our police officers enough. That's being rectified. Mayor Busher's already got that moving, and it's going to be rectified here pretty soon. The second phase we get is after the 3-year obligation that they're leaving because they're going to other police departments. And then on the 20-year end, because of the health insurance problem, that's when they're leaving there again because they can't afford to take a pension and live off their health insurance that they got. So we are hiring, but we're losing them just as fast as we're hiring them. And we're not at a safe place because we need to be up to our 270 number, and we're still a long ways from that. So I encourage you to think about all that, and the discussion's good. We want people to live in our city. We want that. We just got some issues with our linemen, with our police department, fire department, even public works that we have to deal with. So we just got to think about this in the right way and make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons. This has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that we need to get their numbers up so we can serve the people of the city of Springfield. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other alderwoman or alderman? Yeah, so I'll just close by saying that we have 2 weeks. Please communicate with your alderman. Let's be serious about this. Let's try to, to get this thing going. Let's do what's best for Springfield. We just had a bunch of kids in here. I want them to live in Springfield. I want them to work in Springfield. Whatever they're going to do, I don't want them in Sherman. I don't want them in Chatham. I don't want them in Rochester. I don't want them in Riverton. I want them in Springfield. And I think we keep sending a message to the young people that, Springfield, like we're selling the outside, the Sangamon County piece. You're selling it. Or you're doing whatever. I've been fighting this thing a long time. Residency started with me in Faith Coalition years ago, way back when we did the 2016 thing. Got all the way up to the last contract with the chief and them. They wiggled out. The arbitrator said, they don't have to be in. They got out. Go to the legislator. We fix it. Can't use it through arbitration now. Now we're coming up with the moratorium, forcing me to go down. Now I got to do veto session to try to figure out how, take a look at this moratorium that we're talking about in Springfield, Illinois, all because we want Springfield jobs to be by Springfield people. It isn't hard. Every one of your wards has somebody that will work for the city or will want to be trained to work for the city. We're basing this on some positions, a couple of positions. Chief did just stand there 2 weeks ago. They have been reporting that they're doing better. I would like to know where we currently stand. What is the current breakdown of in-city, out-of-city? What's those percentages look like? So we're going to all work together, and we're all going to gather information and try to make the smartest decision for Springfield. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Wow, it's been that long. Okay. And we're moving this to debate. So what we'll do is this ordinance has been properly moved in second to send it on to debate, which we know won't be next week, but a couple of weeks out. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was a long discussion.
2023-495, an ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement with Springfield Arts Association for the purpose of city arts, first night fireworks, Mayor's Awards for the Arts, and general operations support in the amount not to exceed $30,000 for the office of mayor.
Motion for consent.
Second. Move to debate.
It's been properly moved in second to send this to debate.
Chairman, you have someone who signed up to speak.
Yes,
on
sir.
this.
They can come up at this time.
Sheila Walk. who's the Executive Director of the Arts Council.
Good evening. I am Sheila Walk. I live on North 3rd Street in Alderwoman Purchase's ward. I work in an office at the Hoagland Center for the Arts in Alderman Gregory's ward. Thank you for giving me some minutes to speak. I have a bit of laryngitis, so you may not recognize my voice, though you recognize me. It's not contagious. I thought it important, though I'm supposed to be resting these vocal cords, to come before you and thank you for considering this funding. I can assure you that 100% of that money will go to local artists, writers, and performers, and to the organizations that support them. Mention was made of the pandemic. You know that the creative economy was the first to close and the last to open. There were some state programs to help us through the pandemic, to help us, organizations, support practicing artists. Those programs have ended. So arts organizations now are turning to their local municipalities for assistance so that we can fully recover and fully invigorate the creative economy that Springfield can take great pride in. Certainly, I'll answer any questions that you have, and thank you.
Alderman Redpath.
This is a question for our budget people. Where's this money coming from? I can't hear you.
This would be the $30,000, and I believe no further appropriation is needed through the current budget.
Ma'am, I'm not asking you, I'm asking her.
All right.
That's for the arts, yes. It's, I have to look that up. I think it's out of OPED. Val, no? Okay, then it's out of the mayor's office.
So will you give me that answer before the next meeting, please? Because I don't believe this appropriation's ever been in the budget before.
I believe it was included during last year's budget.
You better look it up. I don't think it
will.
was.
It is included in our FileMaker records.
Okay. Please get me that answer before next week. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, you guys. Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just trying to make you watch that screen as much as I can. Just a question for Corporation Counsel. We did have a proposed amendment at the seat, so to change the name from Springfield Arts Association to Springfield Area Arts Council. So if that's correct, I'd like to propose that we're sending this to debate, but I would propose that we before we vote on that we, however we need to, first amend the ordinance to change the name of the organization.
Yes, Alderwoman, thank you for bringing that up. I was going to, you beat me to it. So yes, that's what we need to do.
Always happy to beat a lawyer.
Is that your motion, Alderman?
So yes, I move that we accept the proposed amendment number 1 to change the name from Springfield Arts Association to Springfield Area Arts Council.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second to accept this proposed amendment number 1. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, do we need to pass it on to debate?
Yes, sir.
As amended?
Yes, sir.
Chair.
Well, now I'm asking you guys to send this on. Is any more discussion? None. Okay. We're going to send this on to debate as amended for proposed by amendment number 1. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
2023-496, an ordinance authorizing a 2-year contract, RFP number HR 24-16 with PMA Management Corporation for third-party administration services pertaining to workmen's compensation claims for the city of Springfield for an amount not to exceed $174,100 from January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2025 for the Office of Human Resources.
Move for consent.
Been properly moved and second to send this on to consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unfinished business.
Unfinished business. Any unfinished business? I thought, okay, Alderman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to belabor this topic, but I do want to finish some of my comments from earlier when I withdrew my motion. I want to echo off of Alderman Carlson with just making sure that our intent is to educate people when we go out and do these inspections. A lot of my residents and businesses have hard issues with our inspectors. The fact that they have to call and ask myself or our economic development director to come out because they're so afraid to be in front of inspectors is ridiculous. The fact that we have some of our businesses who have been able to write a statement or have recorded, because this is their third or fourth time going through an inspection, and you hear an inspector laughing and saying, you thought you was gonna get away with this. We have to have just a little bit of customer service and be able to make people feel welcome to come to our city and do business. We should be thanking them by bringing them here and telling them this is what you have to go through. This is the process. If you need help, you should be able to reach out to us. And I think it's just really starting to get under my skin now with how people are being treated by our inspectors. And I hope I don't get any retaliation myself from this, because sometimes when we get phone calls, they don't feel like they should have to call and ask us for help. And I just really don't appreciate when people say, well, don't call the alderman. Come directly to us. This is why we're sitting up here, to make sure that we're advocating for our businesses and our residences. So I hope that we really look forward to working together to make sure that it's a better process in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Connolly.
Thank you again, Chair. And thank you, Alderwoman. I just kind of also wanted to follow up with some thoughts I had around the concept of a subcommittee for landlord and housing issues. You know, it was kind of mentioned if we have more than 3 members, obviously, that constitutes a quorum. I would like to suggest that possibly this is the kind of a working committee that should have a quorum and should be required to do its business as under Open Meeting Act guidelines. And obviously, we'll get more information on how to establish an ad hoc committee, but my preference would be that we do have, I would absolutely like to serve on this. I have significant issues with rental properties, I mean, we all do. But I would absolutely like to serve on this committee, and I think that it would be very difficult to narrow the committee down to just 3 people. Given the nature of this conversation and the level of interest that it has in our community, I think it would be important that maybe we do have this as something that is subject to Open Meetings Act, that residents can come in and hear what kind of conversations and discussions we're having around these very important underlying issues for our city. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't think we need to limit ourselves to just 3 people for a committee of this importance, and also make sure I get my name on the list. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Alderwoman. Alderman Rockford.
Yes, my issue with this, with the ordinance that was withdrawn, there's no explanation. I have no idea what the ordinance is pertaining to. I've received no information on it. I had to call Corporation Counsel. He's out of town. So it's hard to know what we're talking about and what's in this ordinance when there's no explanation. So that's my problem. That's my concern. When we present these ordinances to the council and there's no explanation, it's hard for me to understand what's going on when we're jumping around and talking about different things. But so that's my issue. If we're going to present ordinances, we have to have some kind of explanation. Thank you.
Alderman Gray.
Real quick, and I'm not going to be too long, but me and Alderwoman Perch, as soon as I seen the ordinance, I called her as the ward who has by far the most of these types of issues. And I came from a tenant perspective. I'm a tenant. And whenever if I ever had an issue with my home, and this is some of our conversation, I always called the person I was renting from and to get that fixed. Currently, I'm dealing with several people who live in houses that have had some significant problems where they have contacted the landlord or the owner of the property. And that comes with some strife too, right? You call the city on your landlord or your property owner, you better not owe no money. You're out of here. Am I lying, Ethan? So, you know, I understand where Alderwoman Purchase was going, and I think the cuffs of her ordinance was about notification to the property owners, and if they're receiving that in a timely manner. Well, there's multiple factors that play into that. That's a big fly. And one of those is our mail system and how the mail is going to go and get there, right? I know some property owners are concerned, hey, I only got this within 3 days. I just was working with Corporation Counsel on our automatic 150 fine, because guess what? I got an 85-year-old lady who gets fly dumped every week. She has to remove it. She can't afford it. She can't afford to keep getting it removed within the 7 days, you know, or even if she gets an extension. So at times, I'm sure our public works team is getting that for her. We have some fly dumping situations. If it's on this sliver of the alley, for those of us who have alleys in our community, it's on your property. So at that point in time, it's your responsibility, or get the fine just for it being, you know, you might have a 6-foot fence up and not even know it's back there. You know, so I want to work with the team and Corporation Counsel to really give our director and our administrative judge, some leeway to really look at those situations and to help those folks out that are in true situations like that. So this is a good topic. We, you know, in the end, you know, a lot of people dream of owning properties. They're living in housing that is, you know, it's all right, you know, it's okay. And then others are living in houses that you know, probably most of us wouldn't let our animals live in. And it's sad to look at sometimes. And I work with our economic development director to really try to find funds to help people, even some situations that we can't even help with, you know, income situations, older people and things of that nature that's going through that. So this is a very serious subject to try to address. And I think after we really understand you know, what we're going through in the totality, I really still don't think that we understand how big this problem is in our community. We just did a wonderful program, Bill Springfield, on the north side of the east side. There was 100 and some odd violations. I got a list for 55, 60 of them, all in Ward 2. It ain't a large area, it's just you know, people at work on Saturdays not answering the door, especially in this community. You know, a lot of people ain't gonna answer the door. But if we was to bounce and keep going through just Ward 2, he had close to 500 complaints. There's no way our public works team can really effectively get through that. Our inspectors, they ride and ride and ride. I think he needs more. You know, we'll see how the budget looks, but I think he needs more inspector. What people say and things, you know, I've had some conversation, not particularly with this department, but others, about professionalism and you know, if you say anything about us, you can best believe our constituents are going to call us back and say, hey, they say this and this and da. You know, that's always something that we preach with all of our employees and all of us who work. You know, get that preached to those who we do. So. I do support doing something with how we're addressing these issues. You know, I've never really dealt with an inspector coming into my house or nothing, but I am a tenant, and I definitely have that perspective down pat of what we go through and the fear of even turning in your landlord, because you're out of there if you do. So. You know, there's a balance that must need to be had. Thank you.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. Alderman Rockford, I do apologize for not calling you, but I do know every Thursday or Friday, Nicole sends out 2 emails. One is with your agenda, and the other one is with a breakdown of each ordinance. So it was in there because my colleagues called me after they read it and talked to me about it. But maybe Katia, moving forward, can we make sure the descriptions are still in there? So if he did want to click on it and look at it today while he was in here, he could have?
We can work with the clerk's office on that, yes.
Okay, that's the first thing I wanted to just address to ensure you that it did go out. The second thing is, Director Fuchs, I forgot one other thing to mention that I've heard a couple of my colleagues talk about. So when we get a complaint, the first thing we do is turn it in to our Public Works Department. Most of the time, it's automatically answered and it said, we're sending an inspector out. I just had a meeting where Chief Scarlett was there to witness how one of my neighborhood associations are just not happy with. They think the buck stops once we get the email back and says the inspectors have went out. There's nothing that's telling us the follow through. How did it go when the inspector went out? Did this person get a violation? Is this going to be completed? What's going to happen? So I don't know what solution we can come up with to have that follow up and follow through, and just want you to be able to take a look at that. Because 9 times out of 10, we got to keep bugging you during the week and saying, hey, Director Fuchs, how did it go when the inspector went out? Did we give a violation out? Are they correcting it? How many days is it going to take before we have to reach out to them again? Or if it continues to happen over and over. So just something for you to take a look at.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Donovan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, when I get a call from a constituent or an email or a text about an issue with properties in the ward, I always try to make an effort to actually speak to the individual if possible and walk them through the process, because it is frustrating as a citizen when you notify us, meaning the city, whether it's me personally or someone at one of the departments, that there's an issue, as you're describing, and not knowing, it not getting resolved right away. But let's face it, we all want the problems. I do want them resolved right away. And there is a process, and you started to describe it, where we get the complaint. It's a complaint-driven system. Of course, if the inspectors see something while they're out, we all know that they try to address it as well. But there's a complaint given, inspector goes out, that starts the process. And there's a statutory and a city code timeline that we have to follow. And the owners get the notice from the city, and they have so many days to remedy it. And then the inspectors go out, let's say the next day, and see if it's remedied or not. If it's not, then obviously it goes to the administrative court process. And we changed a few years ago. It used to be, I'm going to use the weed, tall grass as an example, because that's pretty common, where someone would, when it went to administrative court, they'd mow the yard the day before, take a picture and come in here and say, look, it's been resolved, and the administrative judge would basically wipe it away and it would go away. And then guess what would happen? 4 months later, they'd be back here with tall grass, and we'd go through the same process over. We changed it, and I don't remember the exact amounts, but if it goes the administrative court process, then a fine is invoked then, and it sticks with the property, and it sticks with the owner. So there's some accountability there. So I thought that was a positive. But when we last talked about this issue generally, it was just a few months ago since the new council was sworn in, we talked about the existing rules in place for chronic offenders and people that are repetitive, because we all know every ward has those. I don't care which word it is. We all have them. And whether the rules were being followed or not by our own department. And I asked for kind of an update. Haven't heard anything formally. I had some informal conversations about it. I think the answer is clearly it wasn't. So when whoever, and I'd like to be involved, as again I said earlier, but whoever's involved in these issues, and ultimately we all will be, that we look at the existing rules first, because they may be fine. We just may need to actually follow them. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alderwoman Arteano.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, and I think whenever we had that discussion, I brought this up, and I'm going to keep bringing it up, to Alderwoman Purchase's point about follow-through and tracking of tickets and requests. CityWorks has a public-facing module, whatever, I'm not sure what it is. I would like to know the status of that and how we can use that as a tracking mechanism for the things that we turn in to Public Works or whoever, to make sure that, it's out there, like the resident could look at it if they wanted, to make sure it is turned in and where it is in the process. Are we waiting the 7 days or however long for it to be resolved? I think this use of technology would be super beneficial for the community as a whole. So I really want to press, I don't know who is in charge of building that module out or purchasing it or whatever the case may be, but for us to get some sort of public tracking mechanism. So if I have a problem with a certain address, whoever I am in the city, as alderperson or as someone on the block, I can put in the address on the city's website and see what's going on with the grass, the gutter, the porch that's falling down, whatever. So that's my piece.
Thank you, Alderwoman. So, Director Fuchs, I got a question, and Director Posey, I got you, I ain't forgot you. So, to this issue, my experience is my tracking device is my work order number. So when I use the report a problem and I put the and you can correct me if I'm wrong or if it don't happen all the time, we put the issue in, it assigns a work order number, and how I've been tracking to see where they at or what they is by referring back to that work order number when I go back into usually on the phone with them at this point because I'm mad because I feel like they didn't do it. So I call in and say, hey, work order number, blah, 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 and that allows me. So have you not been getting a work order number or not all the time?
No.
Well, so is only certain offenses give you work order numbers? Maybe that's the problem.
Whenever a request for service is put in, a complaint is filed, an action can be taken by the department. A work order or a service request number is put in. That is through CityWorks. That's how we keep track of it. We should be sending those out, but please, if you have a request, ask us for it. We'll be happy to. But that is the key right now. As far as tracking it, that's what we have to have.
Yeah.
To know what action is being taken, where it is in the process.
Well,
I got you. Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you.
And then you.
Here's, Alderwoman Nutriano actually had a good point. I don't know that we would want to open CityWorks up to the world, and I think that the licensing on it might be terribly expensive, but can we look into possibly where people up here have a read-only access to where we can look at things? Because
Create an employee account for me.
yeah, because I mean, it may cut down on a lot of your phone calls from us, truthfully, and I'm sure that'll kill you. But I do think that it might be something that's worthwhile. I don't want to enter things in it. I don't think we should be entering things in it. I think we should follow the same process, but I don't see a harm in us pulling up an address and seeing, unless there's some confidentiality that we're not allowed to have or something. That would be the only thing. If you could look into that, I would
We'll
appreciate
certainly
that.
do that. That would, I think it would be beneficial, and to your point, Alderman Carlson, about education, educating people as to what the process is. I think it would go a long way to assisting that as well. I'd be glad to work with you to see if we could develop that capability.
Okay, thank you.
He asked what I was going to ask. I was just going to ask, that would be helpful, and not all the time do we get what Alderman Williams is getting, the ticket number. Sometimes it's just, the inspector is going out.
If you don't get it, please ask for it.
Right, I'm seeing that. And then if you could just take us through a little education of what he said he does, so after he gets the number, he goes somewhere to put it in and he's able to see it. That'll cut down on me following up with you saying, Director Fuchs.
Or even if you just call in, if you have
call
it, that speeds everything up. If you've got that work order, then whoever's taking the request can go straight to through the software and find out exactly where it's.
I'm sorry it took so long, Director.
Thank you.
Go ahead and let you.
So I don't claim to have answers to everything, but I do constantly get the question in my role of what does the Office of Community Relations do? Landlord and tenant issues are our go-to. That is what we go with. Alderman McGregor can tell you when he has an issue for one of his constituents where he needs to know something about a landlord tenant issue. It might be email, it might be a phone call, but he's going to get to me. I'm going to get back to him. We're going to follow up with that constituent and follow up with him again as well. I understand a lot of people in our community, especially older members in our community, aren't necessarily familiar with CityWorks, aren't necessarily, the best with using technology. I would encourage people to call the Office of Community Relations. We will look it up for you and get the answer back to you. We will call you. We are used to people calling who are having a bad day, who are a little upset about how long it's taking something to get done. We are the lightning rod. We encourage you to call us. That's what we're here for. We're here for the community. Or call your alderman or alderwoman, and they will call us, and we will get that answer for you, and we will follow up with you all. As far as constituents and tenants being afraid to report their landlord or deal with their landlord, I understand how that can be. Something else I would encourage people to do proactively, either call our office or come to our office. We have the handbook that stipulates everything that is a law for landlords and for tenants for if you have a year-long lease, a 6-month lease, a 3-month lease. If you are on a month-to-month lease, because not a lot of people know this, your landlord does not need a reason nor to give you a reason to evict you. And a lot of people in the community are going on handshake deal month-to-month leases, and then you get on social media and you make a comment, or you do something that doesn't make your landlord happy, and they evict you. Is it right morally? No. No, it is not. Does it break our hearts when we get those calls? Yes, it does. But if you're on a month-to-month lease, are they legally within their rights to do that? Absolutely, they are. And a lot of our constituents might not know that before they enter into leasing and housing agreements. So I would encourage people to reach out to us, go to our website, call, show up at our office at 1450 Gross Street. Between the hours of 8 in the morning and 4:30 p.m., there will always be somebody there to answer your questions and walk you through your issues. There are things that we can update technologically in Public Works and in City Works that I'm sure we'll be working on. But in the meantime and in the in-between time, we can do it the old-fashioned way. And people can talk to people. Our office is here for you. If you need something, call us. I know Public Works and CWLP catch a lot of flack for a lot of things, and they are always targets 1 and 1A when people are mad. But it's not always their fault, and they don't always have the answer. Call us. Even if we don't have the answer, we'll find out who has the answer, and we'll connect you with them. Now, can I promise you that you will like the answer that they give you? No. Can I promise you we'll figure out who's going to give you an answer and get you an answer to your question?
Yes.
Yes. Final thing I would like to encourage for tenants and community members, when issues arise, as soon as they arise, bring them to us, bring them to your city council members. Too many times we're seeing citizens who are in situations where they have a problem and it could have been addressed had they brought it to their city council member when it first happened, instead of 2 or 3 months down the road, when now you have a 10-day deadline to when you're getting evicted, and now you really need a lawyer more so than you need one of our agencies or your city council member. But if you bring those issues to your elected officials when they first arise, everyone up here on this horseshoe is phenomenal at making sure they reach out to my office in multiple ways as soon as they get a call. They've got my business cell phone number, my personal cell phone number, my email, my home address. They will find me. My Alderman Brad Carlson will walk over to my driveway and knock on my door and say, I have a problem. What do we do? They're phenomenal at that. But I would encourage all community members to reach out in a timely manner to your city council representative so that way they can reach out and we can help you. There are resources, there are answers, there are rules of engagement to this landlord and tenant game that you should know as both a tenant and a landlord before you start playing the game. We have the rule book. We have the rule book in digital copies. We have the rule book in print form. We will explain the rules to you. But if you get into the game without knowing the rules on one side or the other, and for a lack of a better term, you get outplayed in the game, it's very hard for your city council member or anyone in our agency to come help you out and save you because you didn't read the rules. You didn't read the instruction manual before you started to put together the bed. Well, then when the bed collapses, you don't turn around and go sue the company that made the bed because they're going to ask you, well, did you read the instructions? So, again, a lot of people don't know where those rules are. They are at the Office of Community Relations on 1450 Gross Street. We're right off South Grand, across from the Dollar General, on the east side, in Ward 3. Come find us.
Thank you.
Wait, Director, hold on. Hang on just a second. Sorry, Chair, I did have a quick question for the Director.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So, Director, you may have mentioned, I think, once or twice that people should call your office.
Yes.
Could you please give us the phone number that they should be calling?
I will give you, look, I will give you,
If you say it, then people will hear it.
I will give you my office number. Now, if I am not in the office because I'm running around at meetings, my receptionist Chantel or Sean Rydell, my office coordinator, will be more than happy to assist you. If you really, really just want to talk to me, as soon as I get your message, I will call you back. That number is 217-789-2270. Again, 217-789-2270. We are at 1450 Gross Street, Springfield, Illinois, 62703. It is the big blue building with the mayor's name on it and my name on the door. Come find us. Right across from Dollar General.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Motion to it. Oh, wait.
No. So any more unfinished business? Any more unfinished business? New business? Any new business? No new business. Clerk, anybody sign up to speak or address? Just the council. Okay. Yes, anyone, just start coming on up here. You'll come on up and say your name and address, please.
Hello. My name is Angela Taylor. I'm the owner of Exotic Drinks. My address is currently on 2164 East Adams Street, Springfield, Illinois. I'm here today because I have a very bad issue. I was falsely accused of putting in fraudulent, hold on, let me get the exact wording here. Fraudulent invoices. Never once was I asked of these accusations. I just flat outly got accused of it. I didn't even know where to start from. I just know I was, at the time, this letter I got sent in my mail at August 14th. I was at the Sangamon County State Fair at the time, so I didn't get to really get to see the mail because I was so busy with preparation and being there at 10 o'clock and so forth. That lasted, I believe, to the 20th. And so, like, around that time, I received the mail, and I was just astonished from it. I just couldn't believe it. I had spoke to Val, I believe, and Corporation Counsel before this letter was sent to me. I was in the office. They never addressed this issue with me. And I believe it was either Corporation Counsel or another lady, I can't remember her name. She had said something like, well, do you think we should talk about the invoices? Valerie stopped her and said, no, it's okay, we'll talk about that on a later time. So like I said, I was never aware of these accusations. I never was aware of them. So I just received the letter, and so when I did, I contacted Val, like, I have proof of this, you know. I do stay in St. Louis, Missouri as well. I have 3 days I do in Springfield, and I do 3 days, about 4 days in St. Louis, Missouri. I have my businesses registered out of St. Louis, Missouri, and also registered out of Illinois. So I received a text about 2 o'clock in the morning from, I believe, the Illinois Times, from one of my cousins texting me stating that I wasn't fraudulent. And that's defamation of character. I never got the chance to verify or clarify these things. So when I did come to office, I showed Val, I showed Corporation Counsel, I showed the legal team pictures. My house is under surveillance always. They did the job outside of my house. So I show them the picture of the man. Is this the number you call? Because this is right here. See, the thing it is clarification. See, if it was clarified that I have a business in St. Louis, Missouri as well, they would understood that I have business getting done in St. Louis, Missouri. But there's also a Springfield, Missouri. The people that did my work, they never did business in Springfield, Illinois. So if you call them and say, you did this Springfield, Illinois job, then they've never been to Springfield, Illinois. Of course, that's fraudulent. But I never stated that this was done in Springfield, Illinois. I submitted invoices out of St. Louis, Missouri. So when you called them, you should have specified that did you do this out of Springfield, Missouri for exotic edible pineapple drinks. But as well, I do business as exotic drinks because of the edibles, and I didn't want them to think that my business had any type of cannabis, or because I had people, you got edibles in there? No, I don't. So I dropped that and started doing business as exotic drinks. And so they were actually confused on that. And so, like, right now, they told me that my contract was void because of the fraudulent. So then when I cleared that up, she said my contract isn't expired and it won't be established unless I find property. But under my contract, I have property under my contract. I am in the zone of the Cannabis Act. And under the application, it stated that they were find property, purchase property, help you build on your property. So how can I not be in the zone now? And why is it that I have to go through so many hurdles when I never was in fraudulent? Why isn't it that my contract right now isn't reinstated? Why wasn't it reinstated that day? Why wasn't I given an option for it to be reinstated? So they give me a list of properties in their area and tell me that I gotta find a property, but I'm not under contract right now. So I would have to purchase that and it wouldn't be able to be reimbursed. And I already have over $20,000 that really hasn't been reimbursed to me, that I put in so much into this project that I wasn't even able to pay full amounts to get into fairs because I worked so hard for this project thinking it would prosper by the summer, and to be kicked down and just flat out not given a chance or the opportunity to even explain or clarify as I have today to you guys. I never got that opportunity, but I was demolished and dragged over social media and the newspaper, and that's unfair to me.
Okay, so, did you want to speak to this? Okay, so, go ahead.
You know, so this whole situation, Angela reached out to me, about her situation. And, I wasn't aware, we get the audit, I'm reading it, and I'm reading it as what it states. And Angela reached out to me and she said, Sean, I did everything I was supposed to do. I wouldn't do that to the city and the state, and I wouldn't try to defraud us. And really, this whole situation just really goes back to the original conversation. When we got the audit, in my opinion, I feel like we should have went through every last one of them and called them, just in case that there was a problem or a mistake before it even gets to us, before we even get it. Because now what we have is a young lady here, her business is damaged, she's all in the paper, and this audit that she's turned in fraudulent paperwork, and that's not true. So do we correct the audit now and mark that out and say, no, that wasn't true? Isn't that fair? So my request, and thank you, Angela, but my request would be from the administration and economic development is to call all 21 of them, and whatever they're missing, let's locate it, let's find it, let's upload their stuff, and those who can't, they can't. But, she's not the only person that's saying, hey, I have my stuff, and it really bothers me, and that's the only thing that really bothered me in this process, is that, my people from our community are not given the benefit of the doubt. But, and it's just not fair, and I'm sorry that this happened to you. I hope that we can get you restarted and finish you out. She was supposed to go in Southtown on a lot that's grass is taller than me.
They told
right
me that.
between the thing, and we had some right-of-way issues that we were trying to work through at that point in time, but it's a vacant lot, you know, and it would bring, her business would have brought such a new dimension to Southtown as we're trying to rebuild that corridor and make it fancy like it once was. And we were working through some right-of-way issues, and that was some of her holdup. I cut no slack on those who made a mistake on receiving the proper paperwork and doing their jobs at the point in time. Again, I'll say some of them's gone and some of them still work here. And I apologize that happened to you, and I'm going to do everything I can to work with the administration and work with our economic development office to right the wrongs, and move on. I believe that we'll have a good process going forward. But for those who were, we made a mistake, whether it's past administration employees, this administration employees, the city made the mistake, and we should fix it, and we should make sure that these businesses are successful, because as I said before, it costs us nothing, it hurts us none to see these businesses successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else to address the council?
You have one person signed up, Alice Ramey.
No, you, come on. You done sat up here and you filled out the paperwork. Come on, talk to me. Quit filling out the paperwork if you ain't gonna do it. You don't get.
Make it quick.
Say goodnight.
Yeah. Filling out paperwork.
My name is Alice Ramey, and I live at 1212 South Livingston, Springfield, Illinois, for 68 years. Okay? Been a resident of Springfield all my life. I have a problem. I have told, I don't know if I've told my alderman or not, but there is a gentleman that lives in our neighborhood that has a house that has no heat in it, but he's charging the people $950 a month. Okay? She's got a little girl, beautiful little girl, and she keeps her stuff immaculate. Okay? He has 3 of them in that area, and he charges a heck of a lot of money for and not keep them up. We got one next to me that he's going to rent for $950, but he hasn't got the gutters fixed. He hasn't got the thing going down, and no water spout going down or anything. It looks terrible. I have asked him several times to cut the trees down because I fell and hurt myself very bad on them, on those gumballs and whatever, you know, you get stuck, okay? I think it's time that we adjust these people to the fact that they are not doing their job, but they're bought a new Stingray, they have bought another lot and put another garage on it, but they got money to do that, but they don't have money to fix their houses up. And it's very hard for you to go into a house and inspect it and find out what is wrong, because I have done it, okay? I think that we need to have what this young man over, where did he go? The one sitting down, has the great idea, okay? I mean, we need to have rules and regulations, and we need to give them out to people that are renting or even call what they do, and we all need to have them. Like, I remember that Doris had about 4 or 5 of these rules when books that she gave out. Okay, Senator Doris, sorry. And I know that. This is what we need to do. And we're your wards, and we're elected by the people in your ward to help them out. And that is the only way I know how. I got the rules book a long time ago, and I gave it to this young lady. So I think it's time that we set rules, have inspectors that are willing to make the rules different, for that it's very easy to read, and have A, B, and C very easy to read, and not make it for 6 months that they have to fix their house, make it like in 24 hours because the people have lived in there long enough. I am a sticker on punctuality. And that is all I want to say. And I'm sorry I didn't bring it to you, Williams. I was on our meeting, but you were sick.
You know, just any code violations, you know the players are up here, so just refer them to the proper place in the city, and we'll work on the issue.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You want me to go ahead and put this up over here and throw that somewhere?